So, Dr. Stevko, some of us have heard how emotions and the energy that we generate around emotions can trigger inflammation. And this entire docuseries is about that low-grade inflammation that's under the surface when people say they feel fine, they don't have any pain. How can emotions be the gasoline on the fire for that low-grade inflammation that's continuous under the surface?
It's a very good question, Dr. Tom. It's a lot of evidence now that emotions such as fear, sadness, grief, and anger can cause low-grade inflammation. And I would like to share my point of view, what I observed in 20 years of my practice. People talk about stress, and there are stressors, whatever things people trigger us to have stress. We do not live in an, unfortunately, happy, peaceful bubble.
No, unfortunately not.
Not. And all of us, we can experience everyday stressors.
Now, this is an interesting question. I'm going to pause for a moment to ask this question. The Far Side cartoons, have you ever seen those? But there was a page at a glance for a Far Side, and it was the drawing of a bird in a bird cage sitting on the swing. The door is open, and the bird cage is on a post in the sand on a tropical beach with the palm trees in the background and a sailboat on the water in the distance. And the caption was, even though he had found paradise, Frank was still mysteriously stressed. That it doesn't seem, and I laughed about that, and I've had it taped on the light on my desk now for 30 years. It's there. Because the message is, it doesn't seem to matter where we are in the world. When I can get to Hawaii, then I'll be happy. Or when I can get anywhere, then I'm going to be happy. That we bring our baggage with us. That we bring the way that we look at life with us. And is that the underlying platform from which emotions can cause inflammation?
Yes, I believe so, and I will explain it. All emotions are coming from the unconscious mind. We are not creating them consciously.
Right.
Yes, and in some research, I did read the word programmed. Something is like, this is programmed. What does it mean? Emotions are triggered, and some feelings too, by unconscious programs. And unconscious programs are formed even genetically, and there is a scientific evidence, we can talk later if you would like, that shows their stressful life events and trauma passes genetically as epigenetic inheritance. And also some programs are formed during our lifetime, during stressful events and trauma.
And I would think a majority of that is in childhood, when we don't have the tools to really diffuse the energy that comes at us from our parents or from the world out there. And so we hold things in and we develop ways of interpreting the world. I would suspect a lot of that comes from childhood. Is that correct?
It can come a lot from somebody's childhood if that person experiences constant trauma and any kind of abuse. What I observed in my practice, mostly it comes genetically.
Okay.
Why? Because your parents behaved that way, treated you certain way, because they were treated that way. And their parents, they were treated certain way. It's how they learned how to treat in the future, for example, their children.
My family history, my grandfather came from Kentucky, and he would beat my father at times. And my father was determined never to touch his children that way. And he never did. And in the men's movement work that I've done, there's one of the rules is the buck stops here. whatever the pathology is that you inherited, you do not pass it on to the next generation. So you do whatever work you have to understand how to deal with the internal dynamics that make you want to act a certain way. And that's your world. That's what you teach, is how to work with that inner dynamic that would produce a result that you really don't want to produce. Am I correct in that?
I'm not just teaching techniques. It's possible to resolve certain reactions, behavior, and how people even think, feel, perceive the reality, even certain health issues permanently. Because when you identify an unconscious program, or sometimes it's multi-causal, more than one unconscious program cause certain issues, and work on these programs, the same stressors will be around. What caused that issue?
The trigger.
Yes. But you won't be triggered by those stressors, and as a result, all of your neurological processes, biochemistry will change.
The biochemistry changes, which means the measurements of inflammation change. You had mentioned to me earlier that in some cases the CRP, which is a measure of systemic inflammation, that goes down when people address these underlying unconscious dynamics that they don't know about.
Yes, I had multiple clients who reported to me, because I do not do blood work, that their doctors were amazed. In a short period of time, their entire blood test became normal, and including C-reactive protein that shows inflammation.
That's remarkable. That's really remarkable. And it fits into the paradigm that I've referenced in a number of interviews. I call it the pyramid of health. And we look at a pyramid, we think there's 3 sides to it, and no, there's 4. There's also the base, and that's the home of chiropractic and massage and exercise, the bones and muscles. And then one side is the biochemistry, and that's where most of us focus all of our time. What you eat, drink, the drugs you take, the nutrition you take. And then one side is the emotional or spiritual, and then one side is the electromagnetic. And that we have to look at all 4 sides when we're dealing with any health issue. And one can be more prominent than another, but we have to take in mind all 4 sides. And my experience, when I've had patients who say, I've seen everybody, I've spent thousands of dollars and I'm better, but I'm not fixed yet, I don't feel balanced yet. Consistently, it's the emotional or spiritual side that they're running away from, that they don't want to go there, because that's the one that scares them the most, right? And that's your world. And why I invited you is because that's exactly what you do, that most people are unknowingly, usually, but resistant to even considering that that could be a problem.
It's what I would like to continue talking about. It's your mind creates biochemistry. And I saw some people as my clients who followed a very healthy lifestyle. And also they took supplements prescribed by their physician. And they still had problems.
Yes.
Because if their nervous system reacts every day to those stressors, it will create certain biochemistry. Of course, supplements and healthy food will be very helpful. And it's very important to change. It's how your autonomic nervous system reacts. And as I mentioned before, there can be a lot of stressors, and unconscious programs also cause your perception of yourself.
Could you say that again so that people really get that? Say that unconscious.
The unconscious mind cause perception of yourself, and I will explain it.
Yeah. So it's like we're wearing glasses. We're wearing sunglasses that we see the world through.
That's right.
And that's the unconscious mind that is putting a filter on our clearly seeing what's there. And we don't know that we've got glasses on. It's unconscious. We don't know.
Always. And also perception of other people, and also a perception of the world around. What does it mean? As an example, if somebody has a low self-esteem, low self-worth, in this case, that person will be insecure and stressed all the time, and that person won't be authentic.
And that will create inflammatory molecules.
Right.
So having low self-esteem creates low self-worth, which creates a stressful environment, which creates the stress hormones, which are fueling the fire, this low-grade chronic inflammation under the surface, which eventually manifests as a disease.
Yes, and maybe some people don't understand what does it mean perceiving yourself. If somebody has a low self-esteem, like again, for example, that person will think and feel, I'm not good enough. I'm not as good as others. It will be constant insecurity or part-time security when that person achieves something, and other parts insecurity. And also it will be a constant worry if people will like me, for example, and what they will think about me. They can perceive the world, as an example, often as a not safe place. As you told, as unconscious programs causing you perceive everything through filters, these unconscious programs.
Through filters, when I say sunglasses, that you can't see clearly because there's some screen, there's some filter that's not allowing you to see the world clearly, that we're seeing it through our perception, which is molded by our past experiences.
And I will give you, as an example, you told about that, was it a parrot in the cage that was open? It's how some people live.
That's exactly right.
Actually, we identify for some clients that it came from what they do. It's possible to resolve trauma and those programs from genetic memories. And often, interestingly enough, such an experience as feeling kind of not free, even the door is open to infinite possibilities. It's how people feel.
Yes.
Not free, and in this case, they cannot stand to be bored. Isn't it interesting?
Yeah, very, very.
Because it might remind genetically, it could be some of their ancestors were not free. They could be in real prison, captured by, during, for example, some war, or not free in a family system or society when you didn't have your own choice what to choose and what to do. And in this case, people don't know why I feel this way, and it can cause constant stress.
Right. I don't know why I feel this way.
That's right, like that parrot in a cage.
Yes, exactly right, exactly right. I put that on my desk because I had a lesson when I was 21 and at university, and the house we were renting, the landlord wanted to sell the house, and he wanted $15,500 for the house. Now, that was a tremendous amount of money to me at the time when I was working my way through school. We didn't have that kind of money. And he was willing to carry the loan himself. And so we could have bought the house, my brother and I, and the monthly payments would have been just a few dollars more than the rent that we're currently paying. But the idea of $15,000 was so big to me. I had never experienced anything like that in my life. I was just scared. I couldn't do it. I couldn't take that leap into the unknown. The person who bought the house, we still rented it from him. He raised the rent a little bit, but the person that bought the house sold the house 3 years later for $45,000. So he made $30,000 on buying the house, and that taught me that when I'm scared to jump because it's an unknown, I need to take a step back and just look a little clearer, maybe get some advice, speak to someone who has more experience in that area. But it was that kind of apprehension or fear that I had that stopped me from going forward. It was an unknown fear. I didn't know I had the fear until 3 years later when they sold the house and made $30,000 on the deal. And I realized, well, why didn't I was just scared. Well, why were you scared? I'd never lost money before. It was honest deal, but that for me was an experience that I have never forgotten. And so I always, anytime I'm scared of the unknown, I'll take a step back and look for an authority, look for someone who knows about that topic, who I trust. I'll read a book, I'll call a friend, something like that.
Thank you for sharing. I would like to add to that. Many people make decisions fear-based. It's not the best way to do it.
Yes.
And these people live in their head most of the time. It's actually as if there are three brains in body: head, heart, and gut. And our brain is like, we use our brain for logical thinking, analyzing, for example. It's a good way partially to make a decision. Also, there are similar neurons, it's what science showed, in our heart and in our gut. And heart is responsible for a kind of a feeling. You need to get a sense how you feel about something.
About some action. Or...
Yes. Mm-hmm. And also your gut, that's why people say, oh, I have a gut feeling. Mm-hmm. It's intuition. Mm-hmm. Like intuition comes from the right part of brain and gut. Mm-hmm. The best decisions ever will be if you use all three centers: your head, your heart, and your gut.
Oh, interesting.
Yes.
Interesting.
You won't have much stress when you do so.
So you get a balanced, comprehensive overview of whatever the topic is.
It's important because just logical or somebody's advice, it's not good enough. Some people, they don't know you completely, who you are, what you want. And it's good to have advisors, and it's very good to trust your logics, your feelings, and your intuition.
That's really a powerful exercise.
Actually, you can do that exercise. It will reduce stress. You can put your hand on your forehead and hold it and just ask from a scale from 0 to 10, how much I feel aligned about this decision. Mm-hmm. For example, it can be 8. Logically, it's 8. After you do it with your heart, you put your hand on your heart and ask the same question. For example, from your heart, you feel about this decision, for example, 2. And you put your hand on your gut and ask the same question. For example, it is 10. It means it's kind of in a conflict. And I have my own theory about intuition. Intuition is a knowledge that comes genetically because it's a sense of knowing, even you never studied it.
Right.
How can you do so? I believe it's in a DNA code, some capabilities, knowledge of your ancestors, and genes, if, for example, you study some topics, can express or play music, and you can get that knowledge. Not like completely right away you'll be doing it. Only it will be very easy for you to study this topic.
It's like when you meet someone, and the term I use is seamless. It's seamless. It's easy to be with that person.
Yes.
It's just effortless. There's a comfort. There's an ease there. Now, that's interesting, your example, where it was 8, 3, 10. So do you then go back to the 3 and investigate?
Yes.
Where is the concern coming from?
Yes, because if you feel not good about something, then you need to just investigate it, what caused it. And it can be unconscious. Yes, and you can maybe take a few deep breaths in, and you can even ask your unconscious mind, what is it about? They can be even some information sent.
That, I'm sitting here just excited about this exercise because I've never heard of this before, and it just makes sense. It's simple, it's easy, everyone can do it. It's like, how does this idea sit with me? How does this idea feel? What's my gut telling me?
Yes, and it's logic. And also I would like to mention that unfortunately some people cannot feel and express their feelings because of trauma, genetic or womb or early childhood or all the above. it's kind of their nervous system is in a free state. In this case, these people won't be able to connect on a deep level with other people and even themselves. And in this case, they might not even have any feeling about some decision. And it's possible if to identify what unconscious program or programs cause it and transform these programs, people can start feeling and raise their emotional intelligence. I had such clients, their emotional intelligence was pretty much zero. Now they have a very good emotional intelligence.
And what do you mean by emotional intelligence?
Emotional intelligence, it's understanding your own feelings, for what reason you feel, and understanding and feeling what do you feel, and also understanding other people's feelings in certain situations.
Can you give an example, a client that had a problem and came to you and you helped them with their these exercises and then the result?
Yes, I had a client, he was diagnosed body of Asperger's.
Okay.
In this case, people cannot connect with people, even on Zoom. People in this case, they cannot even make eye contact. Eyes will be like moving around, but they cannot do eye contact. And now his eye contact very strong. Now he can feel and express feelings and connect on a deeper level with others. And also, I wanted to add, he used to feel very, very tired being around people. Because it's a lot of processing. For his unconscious mind, it was not safe to be around people unconsciously because of some unconscious programs. And now he's not as tired.
Marvelous.
Yes.
So his energy went up. I'm sure his inflammation levels went down.
I believe so.
And he's more functional now in his world.
Yes.
Marvelous.
Yes. And also, my friend, Dr. Steven Sinatra, a renowned cardiologist and bioenergetic psychotherapist, he wrote a book, Heartbreak and Heart Disease. He was a pioneer in that area. It was something like 27 years ago. And he believed that heart conditions are formed because of emotions. And he invited me to be interviewed with him and also another medical doctor, Dr. Hertog, an endocrinologist, and talk about how emotions affect our bodies.
Yes.
And it's so fascinating how emotions can affect in our mind and bodies in any possible way because of unconscious programs.
Yes. As I said earlier, that it's the resistant side of the pyramid that people are unaware of, and they don't want to go there usually. So how do we safely get people to explore this area of unconscious emotions? I mean, by the time someone is coming to see you, they have gone through a number of steps, perhaps, and they realize they need some help and they want to go to the expert. What can people do to become more aware? Is this exercise one of the things that they can do?
Unfortunately, people are not aware of the unconscious programs at all. What I do in my practice, how I identify these unconscious programs that create negative emotions and feelings, it's by observing your face, your posture, analyzing the quality of your voice, and looking at some mechanical drawings I ask to do. When people think about the issues, what I'm looking for, I'm looking for neuromuscular locks in face, because it can create certain constriction spasms, even big asymmetry in face. Also in your voice, because your voice is produced, your muscles that take part in breathing also produce your voice. And not only that, additionally muscles in your face. And also in drawings, there will be a lot of information about unconscious patterns and programs. And unconscious programs, they influence everything. How you look, not only, like, for example, some people say it was genetic, of course. And also, even it's genetic, neuromuscular locks create spasms around your eyes. And for some people, the eyes can become like kind of squinty and sunk. For example, around your lips, if the neuromuscular locks, people cannot smile authentically. It will be kind of forced smile. And neuromuscular locks will create a lot of deep lines and wrinkles. Actually, I would like to add, it's a lot of evidence. Stress creates inflammation and creates premature aging, faster aging. And inflammation is one of paths for creating faster aging.
Inflammation is accelerating the aging process.
Yes.
The Italians call it inflammaging.
Unconscious programs create how you look, even your voice, all characteristics of your voice, even your posture. For some people, whatever they do, exercise, try to keep straight, it won't work for permanently. And also unconscious programs create mind processing, your behaviors, your emotions, your feelings, and also your capabilities in life. And possibilities. And even in finances, what you told, some unconscious programs will create difficulties either to make enough money or to save money. And when you transform unconscious programs, pretty much there will be dramatic shifts in all of those areas.
Well, it sounds like all of us could use a little attention on our unconscious programs. I had an experience with a patient one time who had an autoimmune condition going on. And as we were working on it, we were talking, and she was doing the recommendations and getting somewhat better, but not complete. And I thought, there's a structural problem here. So I'm a chiropractor. And so I was working with her structure, and I made an adjustment. And they just said, that felt good. And then all of a sudden she started sobbing and screaming. They're like, like that. And I said, are you okay? Are you okay? What? Do I need to call an ambulance? I was shocked. And she was remembering that she was raped when she was 7 years old, and she had forgotten. She had buried it so deep. And I unknowingly, apparently, with the adjustment, had released the last little bit of that resistance, and the glasses came off, and she saw this. That just took me back, and I realized the power of that side of the pyramid, the emotional or the spiritual side. And of course, after that, as she went into addressing the trauma, I made a couple of recommendations, and she worked with a professional. 6 months, a year later, her autoimmune disease was completely gone. Not only her symptoms, but all the blood tests were negative, because that was the link. I call it the emergency brake. When you back out of a driveway and you say, what's wrong with this car? It's not going very well. The emergency brake. And you let go of the emergency brake, and then you can back up just fine with the car. That we have these emergency brakes that hold us from getting the results from all the good work we're doing to be healthier. And your area of expertise is so critically important. I think it is the emergency brake. It's the main one that so many people have when they've tried everything and they've gotten a little bit better, but they haven't gotten the results yet.
Thank you. And some trauma, they can completely block memories because it was so horrible what was happening.
Yes.
And some people, even they don't feel like what happened, your unconscious mind will be reacting and responding to whatever trigger those events, and can create even like stress reaction and inflammation. And there is a field of medicine that calls psychoneuroimmunology. Are you familiar with
Psychoneuroimmunology, yes.
And this field shows how our psychological state and neurological processes affect immune system. And there are a lot of research and evidence about it.
Yes, there is. We're actually at a conference this weekend where the first presentation by the founder of functional medicine, Dr. Jeffrey Bland, he was talking about psychoneuroimmunology and a number of studies on it, and laughing in a sense that the first guest that he had invited to a conference on this topic was in the year 2000. And that doctor had so much resistance from the National Health Institute. He couldn't get finance for his research. It was very difficult because they thought that was all nonsense. And now we know, 20-some years later, that it's right on the money, that for many of us, the psycho is affecting the brain and the neuro, which then affects the immune system. And now you're diagnosed with long COVID, or now you're diagnosed with an autoimmune disease because the immune function was the last straw, and that's where it went down.
It's what's so interesting for me, that trauma that happened even several generations ago can affect you in your life now.
Yes.
Like certain things can trigger that trauma, and people feel symptoms they never had before.
Yes.
For example, panic attacks or dizziness or vertigo, anxiety and other symptoms.
Yes.
I had so many clients with different this type of symptoms, and after working on genetic trauma, all symptoms were gone. Headaches, for example, severe headaches, migraines, anxiety, panic attacks, and even some health conditions.
You know, there's a lot of science now in test animals. If you expose the animal to particular toxic chemicals like organophosphates or the chemicals used to mold plastic, phthalates, and you damage that animal that produce a disease, that the offspring of that animal will carry the vulnerability to that disease or another disease down the road called transgenerational disease. They're passing it on generation to generation. And you're saying that that same concept that we've demonstrated with the biochemical side of the pyramid, that same concept occurs for some people in the emotional or spiritual side, that it's ancestral issues that can pass with the genes to the next generation.
I did read that study. What you're talking about, it was done by neurobiologist and psychiatrist Kerry Ressler and his colleague Brian Dice. And they introduced some substance similar to cherry blossom smell and created electroshock for mice multiple times. And they saw their offspring had the same traumatic response like after electroshock to just a smell.
Just the smell of cherry blossom, yeah.
And they showed up to 3 generations.
3 generations.
But I believe it can pass even much more, 7, 10 generations.
I've had that thought myself. I don't have evidence of that. That's not my field of study. That's really your field of study, and you've seen it with many of your patients, I'm sure, over the years. Are there other exercises or ways for people to explore?
Yes, I will share some. Now, you asked me before if some people are skeptical. Of course, some people are skeptical. It's now known, there are some studies that visualizations activate certain centers of brain. Your unconscious mind thinks it's real what you visualize. I would suggest when people are stressed, they can just close their eyes and imagine themselves in some very beautiful, relaxing place they have been before and they enjoy it.
So some place that they've experienced in the past where they felt safe, they enjoyed it, they were relaxed. To close your eyes and imagine you're back in that place.
Yes, and some people are not visual. In this case, they just feel this place. Or even some people can hear sounds, for example, the ocean sound or wind
Music
sound.
will sometimes do that.
Yes.
You know, music, will remind me of an old girlfriend or something, and then I will feel some of the emotions around that relationship. Yeah.
Yes. And even if you do it for 2-3 minutes, it will be enough for you to feel less stressed and relax.
Oh, marvelous.
Yes.
Marvelous.
And also, there are a lot of videos, wonderful videos on YouTube. Of course, it's better to go to experience nature, but if you cannot, if you need to work at your office, during lunch break, you can watch some videos of nature. They have different waterfalls, whatever you like.
Yeah.
Or devotion, or underwater world to see all fish and corals.
You know, the video that comes up for me in my mind was the laughing Buddha guy on the New York subway. That this guy gets onto a subway train, it's full, and he sits down and he just starts laughing. Like that. And he's really feeling the laughter, and people are looking at him like, what's this? And he just keeps doing it. And within about 1 minute, which is a long time, the person next to him or the person two over, they start giggling a little. And they're like laughing a little. And it's not long before the entire train is laughing. It comes into the next station, and the entire train is laughing, and they're laughing and laughing, and he gets off the train, and the doors close, and they're laughing as it takes off, and then he gets on another train and sits down, and he starts laughing again. You're like the laughing Buddha, that you've got these exercises and things that bring people to a new place.
Very easy to do, and I will share more. And what you're talking about, it can be because of mirror neurons. People can research about that. It's so interesting.
Mirror?
That's why entire train was laughing.
Yeah.
If some people like pets or animals, when you watch cute animals or puppies or kittens, it produces oxytocin in your body and you feel more relaxed.
That's the feel-good hormone.
Yes, and
Yes.
you can watch, even 1 minute is enough to feel better. Everybody can do it.
Oh, that's marvelous.
And also, people can do a visualization even for their healing. Like ask unconscious mind, please show to me a visualization for certain type of healing. And whatever will come, you can imagine it. Because some people healed even doing visualizations. I do not do exercises or provide techniques. I know many techniques, so people can feel better immediately, like within maybe 1 minute better. What I do, it's a very deep, profound work. As I told, I identify by face, posture, how people walk, analyze quality of voice, and drawing, identify exactly what unconscious program or programs cause that issue, what people are coming to me. And after that, I created a process, multi-step process. During this process, most of the step your unconscious mind will be doing, because it's impossible to do what I will ask to do. For example, one step, I am asking to find all memories for your unconscious mind. Your unconscious mind will find all memories, including genetic memories, your memories from your conception till today, including your womb memories, for example, that created this kind of emotion, a feeling or sense associated with this issue. And during this process, there are other steps. Your unconscious mind will be transforming and resolving trauma during these memories and much, much more. And only 2 or 3 steps, they are conscious. People will imagine what I ask to imagine. Like other steps is for your unconscious mind. And at the end of the process, that unconscious program will be transformed. And whatever somatic or emotional experience related to that will be transformed too. And often the triggers will be the same in environment. And your nervous system will not respond. It will be neutral to that response what that unconscious program created. Because I can work one program at a time. Only one unconscious program can be like very big. It can go to many areas of life. And in this case, working on one issue, working on this program, sometimes and even often can resolve other issues or improve other issues, because memories that created this issue and some other issues can be the same or partially the same.
You're a diagnostician that's looking at body language. You're an intuitive, so you feel and you've trained yourself on how to recognize what your feelings are about a particular topic with a person or something. And you're able to identify how to open up those unconscious areas for an individual.
How to identify what is it?
How to identify them, right?
Yes, and I came up with this methodology only because I combine several fields. My knowledge in medicine. If I did not know medicine, I would never understand what I see. And also very advanced neurolinguistic programming. And I work with a psychiatrist, Dr. Milton Erickson, who worked with unconscious mind, doing trance work.
Milton Erickson is very famous, and there are thousands and thousands of practitioners who have studied his work.
Yes, and I'm not doing hypnosis. No, I'm not. Even people are in waking trance. I'm using Dr. Erickson's language patterns communicating with unconscious mind. I would like to share with everyone a technique that I created. It's very simple to do, and when you learn how to do it, people can reduce or release stress like in 20 seconds. Stress is forming in your face first, around your eyes and jaw, and it's all connected to your neck and shoulders. First, it's better to do sitting down or standing up. You need to bring awareness to your face and relax your face. Like relax your face and especially jaw.
So some people say, relax my face. How do I do that? But as you were saying it, I'm just saying, okay, where's my tongue? Let my tongue relax. Is my jaw tight? Am I clenching my jaw? Let the jaw relax. So it's just real simple to relax your face.
The best way to relax your face. Have you met people who were smiling without using their lips? It was like twinkle in the eyes.
Yes.
Like kind of smiling.
Yes.
It's how to relax your face. Smile without smiling with your lips. Have that twinkle with your eyes.
Yes.
And for some people, when they're at home, they can even slightly drop their jaw. After, it's very important, look straight, slightly upward. In this position of eyes, it's harder to get stressed, actually. It's more visual processing in brain when eyes are up. And you need to continue doing that and choose a couple of words that are relaxing for you. For example, peaceful and calm, as an example. Or I had clients, they said everything is okay. Whatever is reassuring and relaxing for you. What are your two words?
Kris Kringle.
Okay.
Kris Kringle were the words that came up immediately when you said, relax your face, put a twinkle in your eye. I think of the movie Miracle on 34th Street.
Great.
And the character Kris Kringle.
And for me, it will be peaceful and calm. And after, please choose a color of whatever represents a relaxing state. For some people, it will be an ocean blue or turquoise color, or green grass to lie down, for example, and relax, or golden, like sunshine. Please choose a color. For me, it's blue. What is it for you?
Red and white.
Okay, please, let's do this. Look straight and slightly upward and have twinkle in your eyes. Say these words 3 times. You can say in silent. For example, peaceful and calm. Or just you can say once, peaceful and calm. Imagine this color of this energy, what you choose, relaxing energy, is surrounding you. I am imagining blue color is surrounding me, and continue looking straight, slightly upward, have twinkle with your eyes, and you're going to take a very deep breath in slowly and imagine as breathing this color, and when you exhale, you imagine a peaceful wave of relaxing energy. The scala is going through your body from the top of your head down, down, down to the bottom of your feet. And you can repeat breathing a couple of more times. Like again, breathing in this scala, and slowly and deeply, and breathing out, and peaceful wave of relaxing energy is going through your body in this scala. And one more time. How do you feel?
The feelings that come up are jovial, because the vision of Kris Kringle, but just jovial and happy and light.
Great, and you can do it anywhere.
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you. That's a very impactful, and I can't say powerful, because in a positive way, and probably with time, as you develop the skill,
yes,
it gets more powerful and more powerful.
Yes, and I call it instant relax technique. Whatever triggers you, like stressors trigger stress in this situation, because it can more neutralize stress reaction.
Marvelous. Thank you so very much.
You're welcome.